We'll just kind of introduce everybody. Says we are live right now. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Oklahoma Archery Podcast. We are at the Autry Technology Center in Enid, America. We're sitting in tonight on Rack Madness, and I got Mr. Marshall Reigh here. He is one of our game wardens here in Oklahoma. And Marshall, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell everybody where you're from.
I'm Marshall Reigh. I'm the game warden up in Medford and Grant County.
Grant County. That's way out in, as we call Big Deer Country, is it not?
There's a couple good deer up there.
Couple of good ones.
Yeah. A lot of good deer came in tonight already too.
Oh yeah, we got a pile of them over there. If y'all can see if we can get some of these camera angles on them. We got a couple of different camera angles. You can see they're over there. They are over there scoring the deer right now. You guys can come out 6 till 9 if you're in the area. It's just a come and go event. And tell everybody just kind of what Rack Madness is. What's it promoting? What's it all about?
We're just trying to provide an avenue for our local sportsmen up here that don't have to drive to the city, and get their deer scored down there, drive to Tulsa. A lot of the guys at Northwest Oklahoma, they can just slide in here to Enid. We got 6 or 7 game wardens here right now just scoring deer. I just saw a nice antelope come in. There could be a nice bull, I heard. I had a guy call me about an elk.
Okay.
So we're just providing a local scoring for the people in Northwest Oklahoma, all of our constituents up here.
Okay. So for everybody like me that's never killed a deer, really worth talking about. What is an official score? How does a deer, I know they have to dry out for a period. So
Correct. That's why we do it this time of the year. Once hunting season's over, they got to have a 60-day drying period.
Okay.
And then we just measure the length of the main beams, the circumferences, and the tine length, and subtract the ones that don't match and come up with a number. Sometimes we break a few hearts. People have a little bit higher number than what we come up with officially. But
you ever see them come in low?
I have. No, I had a woman bring me a deer one time. It was the first deer she'd ever killed, and it was 11 inches inside spread and scored 202 and 5/8.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a hammer. She said, "Is that good?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. That's a real good one."
That's a good deer.
It was a monster.
So how many years have you all done Rack Madness out here?
This is just our second year here at Autry scoring deer. I've been I'm actually an official Boone and Crockett measurer, so I've scored deer all over the state, Kansas, and everywhere. But this is the second year we've had it at Autry. Last year, I think we did 90 deer in 3 hours. I mean, it was crazy. We had a lot of folks here.
That's a lot. So when they get their deer scored, that lets them go basically submit that animal to.
Yeah, we help them submit it online. It'll go if it meets the minimums for the state record book, then we'll submit it, and it'll go into our Oklahoma record book, which is called the Cy Curtis book, which was named after one of the main biologists to bring whitetail deer back to the state of Oklahoma.
So there's Cy Curtis. How do you tell the difference between a Pope and Young, an archery, and a Boone and Crockett being a gun?
So yeah, Pope and Young would be the national book for archery. Boone and Crockett would be for any deer, whether killed with an archery or a gun. They will accept archery deer. Boone and Crockett will even accept roadkill, anything. Boone and Crockett just is there to talk about the animal. Cy Curtis is our state book, so there's different numbers, different minimums. Obviously, Boone and Crockett is the hardest to obtain. Mm-hmm. They got to be 170 inches as a typical and 195 as a non-typical, which is a really big deer.
It is a big deer. So what's your number on Pope and Young? Is it 125?
Yes, 125 for net typical.
Okay. And then how does Cy Curtis fall in the middle of there? Is that
Cy Curtis would be 135 for typical and 155 for non-typical.
Okay.
And they can be taken with any legal weapon in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Gun, archery, muzzleloader.
There you go. So what coming off this year, is this the off season for game wardens?
Well, it's supposed to be the slow time of the year, but we've always, it seems like there's always something going.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, you got it. Right now they're fishing. Soon they'll be killing turkeys.
That's right.
And then it starts all over in the fall again.
Yeah, it just cycles back through.
Okay. So what was the biggest takeaway from this year's hunting season? Have you guys got to check the numbers yet? Was it something?
I think we were down. I don't think we had a record harvest this year, but more and more people are getting choosier about the type deer they shoot. More and more people are getting more selective. I've already measured multiple deer over 200 inches this year, so they killed some good ones.
It helps when you're up north, right on the Kansas line. Those deer can, in fact, we've checked with our biologist at the wildlife department, and deer cannot read road signs. So there's a good chance a lot of these bucks up north are coming down from Kansas genetics. So I've always been explained to it that the Kansas deer are a different breed than the Oklahoma deer. Is that true, myth,
I think
fact?
it's got a lot to do with agriculture.
Okay.
The same bean fields are on both sides of the line, especially in this whole northwest quadrant of the state. You need large land masses so deer can get age.
There you go.
The agriculture also helps. The healthier they are going into this time of the year, the better antlers they can grow next year, which brings us to another point. We doe harvest. The best way to help your deer is make sure they're not breeding until January and February. Take your limited does, take some of the pressure off the landscape, keep your farmers happy, and trim those doe populations back so those bucks get done rutting in November. They can start recouping throughout the winter and grow a better rack next year.
I'm trying to find a number. I don't know what it is, but a doe eats X amount of food. Every doe eats X amount of food. Every doe you kill is X amount of inches your bucks are going to get to eat and grow next year. And
That's right.
You can't find a number to convince people to shoot enough does or harvest enough does, but everybody out here, they're dropping them like they're paid to do it, and it's showing off. Y'all gotta see some of these antlers walking in here. It's insane. And I mean, we think most of them are Oklahoma deer.
So far, everything I've talked to,
Yeah.
I had a guy, talking about the doe harvest thing, I had a guy that had a high fence, and he told me that you could take a 300-inch breeder buck and put it on 25 does, and he would get them all bred, and the next year that deer's 150 inches. And I think that's some of the problems we see in our really high deer density areas. Those bucks are just so ran down, they're not able to recoup and start growing. Right now they're shedding, and it's time to start growing another set of antlers.
Mm-hmm. As far as everybody out there that's trying to feed them, trying to corn them, trying to grow crops, what's the best time of year that these bucks? Is it right after the rut when they're worn down that they need that nutrients, or is it more important when they're growing the antlers?
Usually, once the rain starts, they get good quality browse. That helps. It's this time of the year when things are tough. When you see guys feeding protein and mineral and trying to help start that antler growth off.
Trying to get them a jump start for next year.
That's right.
Have you seen many of them dropping antlers already?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now they're falling by the day. I've seen a lot of sheds already.
Okay.
So, no, it's time. Our big deer up here will start right after Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right after Christmas. Okay, so yeah, it's Christmas.
We're way after that.
Yeah, I was gonna say they've been.
Yeah, they'll be done by spring break. So I would say right now we're probably 80%.
Okay. And you see, patterns changing. They going back to normal. They coming out in daylight a little bit.
They're piled up on the ag fields. While we're on the subject of sheds, I would like to point out it is illegal to trespass to hunt sheds. Shed hunting has got to be super popular, and I've been having more and more issues every year, and it is a trespass to hunt sheds would be the same as trespassing to hunt deer. $770 ticket. So
Ooh, buddy.
if you're thinking about taking off on somebody's property and loading up their sheds, you might want to think twice.
I usually find most of mine in the tractor tire. That's
Those
where
are $1,200 a piece.
Yeah, I was gonna say $700 to save 12. Yeah, you might be doing old farmer a favor. Seeing
right.
glassing them from the road, you pull up behind somebody. You think about going over that fence? Yeah, I just think he might run over that with his big old tractor tire, man. I think that's the right thing to do. And
Just get permission.
yeah, I tell you what.
Nobody wants trespassers.
So what's one of the wildest stories you've heard about somebody shed hunting? You hear people going out looking for them, and some people say they're not really finding them. They're just throwing them down and videotaping themselves finding them. What's the craziest shed story you got?
Just the trespassing, guys dropping each other off, running from landowners, hiding sheds under bridges on roads, coming back and picking them up after dark. It's kind of got to be a little rush of people trespassing to shed hunt, and there's a financial value there. You're stealing from someone. Sheds have some value, and you're stealing from the landowner, and you're trespassing. But I've caught multiple people trespassing shed hunting, and I've got landowners that file charges on them.
I bet.
They's like, you're not welcome here. I bought this to hunt. My family likes to shed hunt, So it's just getting to be a bigger and bigger deal. For whatever reason, shed hunting's got really popular the last few years.
I got a buddy he's a big-time deer killer, and he feeds all the way through shed dropping season because he wants to find those 4.5, 5.5-year-olds. Because if he gets them next year, he goes, here he is at 4 and 5, and well, I shot him at 6. And
no, good deer hunters, it's a 12-month thing. They're planning, they're shed hunting, it's a 12-month thing.
Well, this is a fantastic turnout, you guys. We're going to be here for the next 3 hours, we're just going to be scoring deer and showing them off, and we'll try to
Talking to hunters.
trying to get some of them over here to tell some big deer killing stories. I shoot too many small deer. Nobody wants to listen to me and my escapades in the bow hunting woods, but y'all want to come out here. You want to see what you're, because I got one that I hope goes 141 and 2/8, but you know they shrink a little bit. What's the average on shrinkage?
It's not much. Less than 2 or 3% tops.
Minimal. Okay.
Yeah, it's very minimal. It's usually mismeasurement more than shrinking. You know, they'll say, "Oh, my buddy had it at 172," and then their buddy started measuring at the base of the tail. so sometimes, but it's usually a mismeasurement more than a shrinkage. But they do have to dry 60 days.
What's the biggest misnomer or myth on scoring a deer? Is it mass? Is it tines? Is it length? It's got to have a little bit of everything. But
Tines of if you want a deer that scores well, like that deer right there we're looking at, that deer should maybe make Boone and Crockett, and it does not have. It's got nice tine length, but look, it's a 6x6, and it does not have good mass, but it's got all those tines and nothing's broken, and it matches up really well.
Gets to keep everything.
That's right. There's a 2.5 inch point at the base is the only abnormal that deer has. It'll be really close to making the all-time Boone, and it was actually killed by that young man right there who's a kid. So you always gotta like seeing the kids kill a good one.
Yeah, it's it'll spoil you early. You pop a 180 before you got a driver's license. That's kind of hard to beat.
I'm all for it. I'm all for those kids having those opportunities.
So do you get out during the hunting season at all and enjoy the sport?
Deer. I mean, I would lie to you if I tell you I wasn't a hunter. I was a hunter before I was a warden. I'll be a hunter afterward. But obviously, deer gun season is our busiest time of the year. So those days are numbered. Luckily, my wife and daughter hunt together, so usually they shoot it and then are calling after dark for the cutter to come in and cut their deer. So
come on, drag it out.
That's right.
Drive me out of this field.
Come help. We can't get it in the back of the truck. Come help. So, and I'm always proud of them.
They do a lot of hunting out here. Tell everybody about the landscape, because western Oklahoma is not just all plains. There's good draws. There's good trees. Everybody thinks it's just Kansas flatland, but you got all these deer being pulled out of little river bottoms and draws and everything.
Anywhere there's cover, there's going to be whitetail deer. If there's cover, we're going to have deer.
That's what you want to see out here.
And deer don't need trees to survive. There's lots of deer live in CRP fields, grass fields. So
there you go.
They like that agriculture. They like the free groceries, and there's such a wide variety in this part of the state. There's beans and corn and milo. It's plenty for them to eat.
They just keep getting bigger and bigger, unfortunately, and maybe some of that's a little bit of the social media. Because
guys are way pickier. That a lot of a deer you wouldn't have even, that you would have loved to have had 20 years ago, you wouldn't even stop and look at now. So, no, the deer hunters are getting better. They let more and more grow, and they see the management of it.
It's a big thing with these guys with the cameras. Everybody thinks
absolutely they know what they have. Yeah. I like the cameras because they know they don't get excited. They've looked at that deer, 100 pictures of that deer before they ever see it, and they know if that's something they want to shoot or not.
I looked at 100 pictures of mine and still shot the wrong one. I got pictures of both of them. I got pictures of both of them standing there next to each other at the feeder all year long. And old boy with the little crab claw right here and the double throat patch comes in. I say, "That's my boy right there." Boom. Wasted the good shot on the wrong deer, but his buddy came in 2 days later. We was tagged out pretty much by the third day season.
Oh, you were just done early.
Just on bucks.
Yeah. Time to start shooting does.
Yeah, we got
taking out. Kids.
We got out. Well, yeah, 28-year-old kid. Yeah, got a couple city friends that never shot one before, and there's so many intangibles. Two or three buddies I tried to get their first archery deer this year, and we might have been raised doing it. So, play red light, green light, draw your bow. If you can get drawn without them boogering, pretty good chance you're going to draw a hair. Cut a hair, draw blood. But there's some new people out there that you really got to sit with. And he's like, freaks out. He's like, "Oh, he's right there. He's looking at me." He's like, "He ain't know what you're in there." He's looking at that ground blind thinking, "I smell Irish Spring soap in there. That cheap son of a gun couldn't even spring for the good stuff." But you see a lot of them out there that you got to take people that are new. If you're tagged out, get your buddies out there, because you don't realize bow season runs all the way through October 1st
to
January 10th or 15th. somewhere in there.
Yep, January 15th.
And you can be in the woods so much more if you got a bow in your hand. If you can't shoot a bow, crossbow's always an option. But it's something
And
that
the crossbow's a great option for kids.
Yep.
That allows you, 3.5 months to get a kid in the outdoors.
Yep, put it on a bog pot and tell them anything under 80.
Let it eat.
Yep. It's something that, as the archery shooting guy, you always want to see them put that down and come on and, we want them to shoot archery as a sport. But if you get them hooked at 7 and 8 years old before they can pull, let's see, I used to think it was 40, and somebody said it's been 35 pounds.
Yeah, they've dropped it down. That's right.
That was
it was 40 forever. So
yeah,
it was.
I was saying it was like it hadn't been 40 for 15 years. Where you been? And I was like, well, after I could pull 40, I didn't really look back at it any. But man, there's a lot of big deer in here. I'm gonna try to get some of these on, these on camera here. They got people lined up. I think they're scoring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them at once. 6.
If I don't get back over there, you're gonna get me in trouble.
Well, don't let me keep
back.
you.
All right.
Thank you, Marshall.
You bet.
Brian, hop on over here.